Listen, I don't do social media like that. Like, in fact, the truth is, I can't handle social media. When I get on social media, it's like I automatically would start to scroll without me even noticing that I'm scrolling. And then I'm seeing all these images, mostly good, but you can't really control what you see. And then I'll start to feel anxious, like without my control. And I know for a fact, if I, as a young adult woman, okay, can't handle social media, then I know your teen is struggling with social media as well. I know a lot of anxiety and depression and suicidal thoughts, a lot of that really comes from the way we socialize with the world now. They have access, we have access to so much more than what we used to. The stuff that we struggle with was like unheard of in the previous generations because of the oversaturation of images, of ideas, of just everything. And it can really become toxic to your everyday life. You get on social media, you start to scroll, you get access to other people's lives that you don't know, other people's lives that you do know, and subconsciously you begin to compare yourself without you even saying mine. Start comparing yourself. You start to do it. And so what I've learned in my life, because I've struggled on and off with anxiety, and I couldn't really understand why am I struggling? What I've learned is what you keep doing, what you practice becomes permanent. And so all the years that I would worry if I'm gonna pass this test, just not really having stability, growing up, emotional stability and all that good stuff, my brain would get on autopilot. And so when things pop up, I just start to worry subconsciously without me even knowing. It's like I start to feel like this chest pain. I can tell when I'm being anxious, but it's like I'm not even thinking about nothing. Why am I feeling anxious? And I'm like, oh, okay, there's something coming up. I have something in front of me, a deadline or whatever, and I start to feel these anxious feelings in my body. And I think that's what is really going on in your teen's mind. Like, they're bombarded with what other people are doing, wishing that they were doing it, comparing themselves, trying to be something that they're not, trying to be like somebody who they don't know. And I know during this quarantine, a lot of that has intensified because all they're doing is being on social media. So I'm saying all that to say this. If I can't handle social media, if I need breaks, if I need people to hold me accountable in just different areas in my life, your teenager does too. Because you can get addicted to these things. Here's the thing. Our brains are wired to be in cycles. Like, our brains are constantly looking for shortcuts. So you don't have to think about it. So you can function easier. So this is what happens when you make a right turn all the time because you're going to work. It's like once you hit that street corner, you automatically make a right turn. Why? Without you even trying. Because your brain is so used to doing it. You've been doing it so much, and the neural pathway in your brain has been established by the repetition of that action. And so you just do it just because. It's on autopilot. And so a lot of times we get on social media, your teen gets on social media or just gets the phone in their hand and they automatically go to social media or automatically do whatever that they're doing because they're on autopilot. They've practiced it so much. And so they could be crying out for help. They could be saying, oh, I'm depressed. I feel like I want to commit suicide. I'm angry all the time. But they don't know because they're on autopilot. They need help. They need some strict boundaries put in place. Let me tell you, they need boundaries put in place. And they can't do it by themselves. Adults can't even do it by themselves, okay? Like, I know I can't live in isolation because I know I'm human and I'm weak. I'm just humble enough to admit that and to realize that. Your teen cannot live in isolation with their phone. They need boundaries. You need cutoff times. You need maybe certain hours of social media a day to help them cope, to help them deal, to help them actually live a normal life. Like, cause them to be social. Cause them to go over a friend's house instead of texting them. Cause them to go, force them outside. Like, force them outside and say, you ain't coming back until the street lights come on. What happened to that? I feel my healthiest when I am not on my phone. I feel my healthiest when I'm not on social media. I'm not looking at what such and such is doing. Even if it's some good quality stuff, even if it's encouraging stuff, it's like, but it's not reality. It's not what's going on in my life. And when I'm focusing on me, when I'm like present in my everyday life, It's like, wow, God can talk to me. I can hear him. I'm content with the little I have in front of me. And I don't feel like I'm in a rat race trying to compete or whatever that your mind just goes to, because we're sinful people. We just automatically think negative things. Listen, I'm telling you, help your baby boy, your baby girl out. I don't care if they're 17, 18. If they living in your house, talk about some social media, some phone time boundaries. I kid you not. Please, if I am saying this as a young adult woman, your teen is screaming this out. They just don't know how to communicate what I'm saying to you right now. It's just coming out perverted and showing itself in depression and anxiety. So that's it. Happy quarantine. Stay encouraged.